In 2009, I had an idea to bring together the world's smartest, the world's brightest, and create startups that would look to service the world's poorest through innovative, sustainable business. What's happened since then is beyond my wildest expectation.
I love the Hult Prize. You, in so many ways, represent the future. The Hult Prize is about more even than the solution to the problem advanced. It's about how the world has to work in the 21st century.
In 2013, Aspire Food Group came up with an idea to end food poverty around the world. And I'm sitting today in Kumasi, Ghana, in Western Africa, witnessing the entire continent of Africa adopt a farming technique that didn't exist before Aspire Food.
I'll make it very simple. Aspire would not exist if it wasn't for the Hult Prize. Tell me about another platform that is able to attract over 20,000 of the brightest minds on this planet from over 100 countries to compete over how can we make the world a better place. That's the Hult Prize.
Winning the Hult Prize gave us a huge kick, which suddenly made us think from thousands to millions. It's all about how you can take one idea to actually go ahead and implement it on the ground.
Without innovation and change, you will become irrelevant. What we need to do is look ahead, iterate, evolve. Some of the startups that have come out have inspired us at the Hult Prize to evolve in our process.
When you bring social entrepreneurs together in the same room, so many great ideas come out.
The Hult Prize network is priceless. In my opinion, life is somewhat of a gamble, and I want to roll the dice on social enterprise.
There's something that happens to every single entrepreneur that goes through the Hult Prize. You realize that you cannot unlearn what you can do to change the world. You know, it just keeps getting better and better every year.
All it takes is one person to come up with one concept, to go into one nation, to influence that entire country. This is the Hult Prize effect, and this is what we hope to inspire in developing ideas that can solve the world's toughest social issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO and founder, Hult Prize Foundation, Ahmad Ashkar.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, and thank you very, very much for being here. None of this would be possible without the generous support of the Hult family. We would not be able to put on this event or run the Hult Prize without their support, so we really appreciate that. That's worth a round of applause. I'd like to also thank the teams who about 12 months ago took on a journey of change, a journey that they didn't realize they even wanted to do before being introduced to the Hult Prize. And that's what the Hult Prize is all about. We custom tailor startups that are literally changing the face of social issues around the world by introducing a way to do business that services the world's poorest, that's sustainable, and that can have lasting impact and change in our world. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to the challenge that we've set forth 12 months ago. President Bill Clinton selected early childhood development and education, focusing on children aged 0 to 6 worldwide. So students from over 130 countries, representing 20,000 applicants, began the journey of the Hult Prize in September 2014. Here we are in September 2015, and we have left 6 final teams. They've been whittled down in competitions which start on campuses around the world. Then they move into semifinals, which are hosted by our sponsor, Hult International Business School. From there, we welcome all of the teams into a 7-week accelerator program. And finally, they're here tonight presenting to you one of the most 6 disruptive ideas in the early childhood development space that we've seen. With us today to select the winner, which will receive $1 million in startup capital, is a phenomenal global jury. That jury has worked and prepared to review each of the 6 presentations today. They've had the background, they've been trained, and they've been briefed. And it's my pleasure to introduce them to you, who will select tonight's winner of the 2015 Hult Prize. So without further ado, you're all here to see the show. We'll get right started. And I'd like to introduce our first judge, former Prime Minister of Australia, the Honorable Julia Gillard. The next judge is one of the top entrepreneurs in all of Africa, a legend in the telco space, Dr. Mohamed Ibrahim. Our next judge was pivotal in the development of the Hult Prize. He was giving a lecture as then CEO of One Laptop Per Child, Chuck Kane. And finally, back for his fourth Hult Prize finals, a man who needs no introduction, a man who has pioneered microfinance and brought it to commercial application around the world, Nobel laureate, Professor Muhammad Yunus. These judges are more than just jury members for this evening's Hult Prize. All of them have been affiliated with us on multiple occasions and have spent a lot of time supporting what it is we're looking to do here at Hult. In 2009, when I dreamt up the idea for the Hult Prize, social enterprise was something that was just available on paper. Most people did not understand the realities of how to commercialize the business of helping the poor. Since 2009, college students around the world have been introduced to Hult Prize, and as a result are starting radical startups worldwide that are looking to service the poor and be sustainable. None of this would have been possible without one key advocate of changing the world and starting from the inside out with students. And while many people credit me for having the idea to found the Hult Prize, every founder and all of you out there that have ever founded an initiative or a startup know that you must have had that one key sponsor looking after you, taking your idea up the ladder and realizing that it could have legs. And that one person for us is Dr. Stephen Hodges, the president of Hult International Business School. When I was a student, Dr. Hodges supported the Hult Prize, and many people have realized that the Hult Prize can only live at Hult International Business School as a key sponsor because of its international footprint, operating in campuses around the world, in Boston, San Francisco, London, Dubai, and Shanghai. And the fundamentals that we teach in terms of action, getting our startups out into the field, is 100% in line with those things that I learned as a student having graduated from the Hult International Business School. So I'd like to ask Steve Hodges to come out on stage and thank him for making the Hult Prize possible for all of us here today.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us this evening for a couple of hours that I hope will have a lifetime of impact. You know, a decade ago, we started Hult because we wanted to drag business education into the 21st century. And in many ways, the Hult Prize is perhaps the best example of that ambition. It combines crowdsourcing with everything we know about experiential learning, and it challenges students to change the world. And you have to hand it to this new generation. Unlike my generation, they actually do want to make the world a better place for everybody. But with all of their energy, enthusiasm, and talent, this generation won't make much of a dent on the world's problems if they rely on philanthropy alone. And at Hult, we believe the answer is social enterprise. And with Ahmad, we've created the Hult Prize not only to be a platform for this generation to be able to express their ideas, but also to be a core component of their education. This year, over 20,000 students around the world participated in the Hult Prize. Every single one of them learned how to put classroom theory into practice. Every single one of them learned the fundamentals of social enterprise. and every single one of them, most importantly, learned that they can make a difference. And that's why we want to keep expanding the reach of the Holt Prize. As more people compete, the better the ideas we generate, and the more people we teach about the power of social enterprise. As you can no doubt tell, it is an absolute pleasure to be part of the Holt Prize. I am always blown away by the ideas that are presented, and to be able to help those dreams become reality is unbelievably fulfilling. And that's why I always look forward to this evening. It is an amazing, awesome event to be part of, and one that always leaves you with a renewed sense of hope and optimism. So thank you all for being part of this success. I hope you enjoy this evening. The teams, best of luck. I hope you do get to enjoy part of this evening at least. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Muhammad Yunus, recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, founder of Grameen Bank and Yunus Social Business.
Well, I'm back again, like many of you. This is the 6th round of Holt Prize. It's a sensation. The whole evening is a kind of tense experience. Who is going to win? And whoever wins, my first job probably would be to congratulate all the 6 teams. Let's give a big applause for all the 6 teams. You are lucky. You are lucky because after all these thousands of people who participated in the competition, you are here. You represent the best. So it doesn't matter who wins, but the fact that you are here is a very important thing. And the fact that you have designed something to solve a very specific problem, a social problem, is a very important thing. And I hope your ideas will not go wasted just because you didn't win the prize. Prize is only a recognition at the end of a long process. So that doesn't mean those who participated, they participated for or in vain. They are not. The idea was to bring your creative ideas behind a specific problem that you see around us, how to address that. I hope you'll not give it up. Not only one specific one, you'll use your creative power to solve many other problems around us. This is a historical year, 2015, because just now, United Nations just adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. This is a historical moment because this will decide the fate of the world for years to come, not just the next 15 years. This will be a launching of a long series of events in the whole world, not just in a government policy, not because government agencies will be paying attention to it, because we citizens of this planet want to make these Sustainable Development Goals make happen. So this Holt Prize is in that process. We should consider this as a part of that process which United Nations has just begun on behalf of all the people on this planet. All the 17 goals are very important goals. We should be designing these ideas, how to address this in a sustainable way. The very word in these goals is a Sustainable Development Goals. And here is an exercise of that sustainability, how to make these goals happen in a sustainable way. So this is what is the beginning of the process. And you will be doing this ideas that we have presented as a business model. Some of you will be making this business model to make money for yourself, which is good if you want to do that. But I promote a different kind of version, which we call a social business. I'm sure some of you will be using this as a social business, meaning business to solve the problem rather than making personal money out of it, so that your entire focus in solving the problem in a sustainable way. So I just make that appeal so that whatever you do, you continue to focus on those ideas, to make those as a social business, to fit into the Sustainable Development Goals that we have presented today. And to sum this up, what I have been trying to do, and I want to share it quickly with you, I put a simpler version of the Sustainable Development Goals. I put 3 zeros in front of me, so that 3 zeros guide me, whatever I do, that kind of shows me the way how to proceed. Zero number 1, zero poverty in the world, which is again part of the Sustainable Development Goal. United Nations had put zero poverty by 2030, but in that explanation they mentioned it's bringing extreme poverty to zero, which is a very important goal because we are coming out of the Millennium Development Goal, which kept the goal as reducing extreme poverty by half. Many of the countries in the world will be achieving that, will be celebrating that at the end of the year. But now we take it that second step, bringing extreme poverty to zero by 2030. I'm pursuing the goal of reducing poverty, not just extreme poverty, poverty as a whole, to bring it to zero by 2030. And hopefully, when we achieve that, country by country, when we achieve that, we will be putting poverty in the museum permanently so that we don't have to see poverty in their society. We'll be watching it in the museum. Second zero I put in front of myself is the zero unemployment. I feel unemployment is totally artificial concept. It doesn't belong to human being. No normal human being can remain idle. Human being was not created to remain idle. Human being was created to become a go-getter, a problem solver. Somehow we misconstrued our understanding of human being. We created unemployment for ourselves, doing nothing during our lifetime or many working days or many working years, which is a completely waste of our energy and creative power that we have. It's not in few people, it's not in thousands of people, it's in millions, not only in millions of people, it's in billions of people. Billions of people are unemployed or underemployed. So how to transform that? I propose that I believe that all human beings are entrepreneurs, basically. So instead of pushing them into job seekers, we are misdirecting human beings. We are not job seekers, we are job creators. That's the goal that we should pursue and bring the world to zero unemployment. Third zero, obviously, is very well known to you. This year is a very important year with the United Nations General Assembly decisions on the goals, as well as COP21 in Paris. Zero net emission, zero net carbon emission. We must achieve that. There is no escape. It's not the government who will do it. We have to do it as an individual, as a citizen of this planet, make this planet a safe planet for all of us and our posterities who will be following us. So this is the 3 zeros that we should be following together. I hope we will make this planet a wonderful planet. Thank you very much.
The Holt Prize is an ecosystem of brilliant minds.
The Holt Prize is for entrepreneurs who are ready to change the world.
There is a way for companies to be profitable, but at the same time address a social challenge.
All the teams came into the Holt Prize Accelerator with our ideas of what we were going to create.
Our idea comes in here as a very rough, undeveloped idea, and then the Holt Prize helps us go through an iterative process to turn it into something beautiful, something tangible, something realistic, and turn it into a social impact engine that could change millions of people's lives.
What Holt Prize has helped us a lot with is thinking about the problems on this immense scale that you need to if you're going to have any kind of global change.
Holt Prize empower people to come up with a sustainable and innovative business model to help to solve the most pressing social issues around the globe.
Previously, people thought that there was a for-profit business and there was a non-profit business. Now that the Holt Prize has allowed so much publicity for social enterprise to be recognized, there's now a hybrid between for-profit and non-profit, which is the direct answer to all the problems that we have in the world.
I have been to other accelerators, but Holt Prize Accelerator differentiates itself.
The connections that we get here at Holt Prize is perhaps one of the most valuable things. So just a couple of minutes from them can help us solve issues that we've been working on for months.
When you bring social entrepreneurs together in the same room, so many great ideas come out of this environment.
Your energy feeds on each other when you're together, and I think it raises the level of the playing field for everyone.
We are not competitors. Actually, we are friends here because we are aiming to the same thing, to help the children all around the world.
I was very apprehensive before coming here. I was thinking, how is it going to work with the different teams, living in the same house? But as it turns out, Holt Prize organizers go out of their way to make their environment very comfortable.
The Holt Prize makes sure that there's a balance between having fun and having the work done.
There is a lot of fun here. Ping pong tournaments happen frequently, so I've gotten to sharpen my ping pong skills.
We cook with the other teams. We get to mix with the Holt Prize staff, and just a very comfortable environment.
Different people with different cultures living together is very, very interesting.
In one word, the Holt Prize is change.
Invigorating.
Empowerment.
Astonishing.
Passion.
Revolutionizing.
Energizing.
Fast.
And the Holt Prize experience in general is so demanding and so challenging in so many areas. And you rise to the occasion. I never would have tried to start a business impacting 10 million lives without that challenge.
We're riding the initial wave of social entrepreneurship. We're on the frontier of that. The Holt Prize is going to be something in 10, 20, 30 years that nobody ever expected it to be, because social entrepreneurship is the future.
We only have one life, and the question is, what legacy do I want to leave? What mark do I want to make?
Okay, it's about showtime. Before we start, I just want to also welcome our online viewers. We've got thousands of Holt Prize members of our community out there, and our campus directors, which span worldwide, out there supporting us. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first team. The first team to present will be Atalo from the University of Toronto. This team impressed everybody when they showed up to the regional finals after winning their internal round of competition at the University of Toronto. They showed up to one of our regionals, and I got a phone call as the judges were deliberating. And the judges said to me, if they've already got a purchase order for 100,000 units, does that disqualify them from being a winner? And I said, well, they only started this project less than 8 months ago. So they've gone from 8 months to literally a purchase order of over 100,000 units. And by the way, they've quit everything else in life, jobs, part-time work, school, etc., to focus on their project. So I welcome Atalo.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is our pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you so much for this opportunity. When we were in India this summer for field testing, we met Raj, who is 4 years old, and he has never been to school. We asked him to name this vegetable, which he eats regularly, and he called it a green vegetable. Raj did not know its real name, cabbage. Not knowing a vegetable name may seem like a very small problem among the many problems that these children face. However, limited vocabulary is one of the biggest challenges and a key reason why children are failing in primary school. Now, the good news is that children can build their vocabulary when parents are empowered to talk, sing, and read to their child, exposing them to a variety of words in multiple contexts. We know that children learn the best through play, and we wanted to design a solution which will keep them engaged. So we use a playful idea that creates a magical world of colorful characters and fun stories. Our solution is based on stickers. Why? because children all over the world love stickers.
Stickers are certainly playful, but you might be wondering, how do stickers build vocabulary? The solution is talking stickers. Talking stickers are unique in that they can record and play back a parent's voice in any language. This all works through a new product that we're introducing called Olo. Let's show you a quick video of how talking stickers work.
Talking stickers talk. Ellie the elephant has a great sense of smell.
Stickers can be used to record anything on the spot in any language.
Itne sare dost.
Let's listen the next time the sticker is scanned.
Itne sare dost.
Talking stickers sing.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Talking stickers read. A parent or child can use a separate recordable sticker to capture their own voice and re-record as many times as they like.
In just 8 months, we took this idea from concept to working prototype. We started by building our own phone-based application, and then we worked with Autodesk, a global technology company who shares our passion to deliver impact. Autodesk helped build our next prototype, which was designed specifically for children. In the following video, we witnessed the playful fun that we saw children have in India and Kenya. It brought a magical learning experience for these children. During our field studies, we found that our solution increased parent-child interaction time and empowered parents to talk, sing, and read more to their children. We also found that less literate parents were able to learn through our device and gain the confidence to speak more to their children. As a result, after 5 weeks, we saw that children were learning new words faster because they were engaged with our talking stickers. If we project our results over a 1-year period, we begin to find that talking stickers begins to reduce the vocabulary gap that exists between less privileged children and their counterparts. We have a solution that's working, and now talking stickers are beginning to speak for themselves. Pratham, the Aga Khan Foundation, and Rate to Play are all large educational organizations who work in marginalized communities. Each see the tremendous value that talking stickers can bring to marginalized children. Collectively, these organizations have already pre-ordered over 200,000 of our Olo devices so that we can start delivering impact as soon as possible. These organizations will be our implementation partners, and it is through these organizations that we figured out a way to bring talking stickers into the homes of 10 million less fortunate families for an affordable price. We have a low-cost solution, a solution that can offer the right-size bundles, and one we will deliver through existing learning centers. Let me explain more. We have a strategic partnership with DataWind to manufacture our Olo units at a low cost. DataWind is widely known as providing the world's cheapest tablet that is loved by millions of students across India today. DataWind has access to international suppliers and local distribution networks to help keep our product costs low. For our stickers, we work with each of our implementation partners so that they can have interactive stickers that are age-specific. We take their existing, locally proven, and culturally accepted early learning material and transform them into stickers that promote play, that can instruct and guide parents, and that can even transform common household objects into educational toys that these children never had to play with before. We will distribute talking stickers through our implementation partners, leveraging their existing learning centers. This way, we offer our partners a way to solve a large-scale problem and empower millions of parents with a home-based solution so that they can be their child's first teacher. When their children are ready to go to primary school, they'll be ready to succeed. These local learning centers are where parents will be able to come to pick up talking stickers to take home on a monthly basis, as well as receive information and assessments of how their children are doing.
The great part about our solution is that it is also affordable. Parents pay $1.50 to our implementation partners. In the first month, they receive an Olo reader and a bundle of talking stickers. After that, they continue receiving new bundles of stickers each month. At 2% of their monthly income, parents create a positive home learning environment and take ownership of their child's education. This business model is also sustainable for Otolo. Our customers are educational organizations. Parents pay them $1.50. Of that, we receive 58 cents in revenue and make a gross profit of 20 cents per user per month. We have a 5-year plan. We will use our Health Prize money in the first 2 years to impact over 300,000 children in India. We are pleased to say that we have the support of the local government of Telangana that will help us achieve this goal. Our milestones include delivering a commercial product as well as completing an efficacy study. By the 3rd year, we will have over 1 million paid users, which will allow us to break even. In years 4 and 5, our focus will be on scaling, and we will enter new markets in Bangladesh, Tanzania, and Kenya. Applications of talking stickers extend even beyond language development. Talking stickers solve the problem of parents who are unable to read by providing them audio instructions to correctly use child products. Just imagine how we can use talking stickers as a tool to communicate information about health, nutrition, and literally all areas of holistic childhood development. And this is the reason why UNICEF is also extremely excited about talking stickers, saying that this simple innovation has the potential to solve major challenges facing early childhood development. We are Team Otolo. We are a team of engineers, neuroscientists, and parents with over 30 years of international and business experience. In just 8 months, we went from a concept to a working prototype. We piloted in 2 developing countries, and we already have a pre-order of 200,000 units. Otolo means to elevate. Join us on this journey to give 10 million children the vocabulary they need for success. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just team number 1. And may I add, great job. You had 1 second left on the clock as you finished. So we'll turn it over for now Q&A.
I'll start. Great presentation, team. Is DataWind and Autodesk still going to be on board with you as you go forward?
Yes. Both organizations will be with us, DataWind with strategic manufacturing partnerships, and Autodesk to help with the form factor and design of the final product.
How much is the cost of the device, Olo itself?
The cost of the Olo is below $8. Below $8.
Below?
Between $5 and $8 is what we have a quote from DataWind.
Can I ask you about the metric you've got in here? You've got 42 minutes per day of parent-child interaction time, exposing children to an extra 6,000 words daily. It seems a lot of words a minute, or there's words acquisition happening in some other way apart from the parent-child interaction.
So yeah, these are just exposed words. So at an average pace of 150 words per minute, over the 42 minutes, we get the 6,000 estimate. That's also a fairly conservative when you consider some of the published studies show that if a parent reads to a child, they can be exposed to almost 10,000 words in the same amount of time. So that's the estimate we have come up with.
Well, that could be 100 words repeated 10 times or 100 times.
Yeah, I think we speak more slowly in Australia. That might be the problem.
Who decides on the words that the children should be learning from? And also, you didn't mention anything about the battery cost or whether you use the solar panels or whatever. That's a source of energy.
So the source of the words come from the educational organizations, the local ones that are on the ground. We're going to work with them to determine what vocabulary is needed to be ready for primary school and make sure that we deliver the content and the activities to the children so they reach that level. In terms of the battery power, it is a lithium polymer battery. And it's rechargeable, so it can plug into a typical USB port that a typical feature phone would use. So when we piloted in these communities, we found that we know that 85% of them have feature phones, and it would be the same charging system that they currently are using for their phones.
Have you considered selling it as a toy device in the developed world and cross-subsidising into developing countries?
So we have considered that, but our focus is going to be only on developing countries. We feel we'll have the greatest impact there, and our educational partners are key to getting the right material to the children so they can learn the most.
How do you see this bridging children to reading in the future? And do you look at this as a step ladder to it?
Definitely. So the stickers can be used in existing books. So it's almost like an assisted book, essentially. So there's a pre-recorded sticker that can come from the educational organization, so a parent can now understand the words on the book. And then there's a recordable sticker option where a child or a parent can record their voice as well on the book.
You mentioned that some organizations pre-ordered 200,000 devices. Is the idea that you're going to look for good people to order these devices and give it free for the poor people, or you're going to mix? What is the model actually?
So our model is we sell to these early childhood organizations like Aga Khan, Pratham, as well as Right to Play. They have pre-ordered 200,000 units initially, but they have also committed to implement to 10 million children within the next 5 years. They have committed to also develop the content, co-develop the content, as well as do the efficacy and validation studies in the year 1 through third-party evaluations, like JPAL, as well as the Center for Global Child Health in SickKids.
So if the devices and the stickers are given for free through this organization, what is this 2% cost to the family each month?
So we assume the salary per day would be around $2 to $5. So that's where we developed a business model which can be sustainable for our NGOs as well as sustainable for ourselves. So the parents are willing to pay $1.50. Now they have quality learning outcomes at their house, as well as they see their children engaged in a playful environment.
This $1.50 will be given to Aga Khan Foundation, or to you, or to whom?
This $1.50 is given to Aga Khan Foundation and other early childhood organizations. Out of that, we get 58 cents per month per child. And we make a gross profit of 20 cents per month per child to make ourselves sustainable.
Great. Thank you guys very much. Give it up for Atalo. So we're just getting warmed up. The next team submitted their application into the Hult Prize, and as the review committee was going through it, we read, and there was 4 Rhodes Scholars on one team. And I asked my colleague Kareem, I said to him, Kareem, you know, how many Rhodes Scholars are there in the world that we've got 4 on one team? And the team from the University of Oxford, Libromat, please make your way to the stage, have produced more data on their startup than probably any of the combined teams that have ever come through the Hult Prize. And I think as you look through and watch their startup presentation, you realize why that data is key to their solution to end early childhood education around the world. Good luck, guys.
Imagine an innovation that could transform the chore of hand-washing clothes into the pleasure of sharing books with your child. Libromat makes this a reality by combining affordable laundry services with education for parents. This is game-changing. As Paulina says, I'm a working mother, so more often than not, I'm tired. But now, I make time every evening to share something in a book with my daughter. There was not much communication before. Now, I see her drawing closer to me. Paulina has just finished our program in interactive book sharing, one of the most powerful things a parent can do to improve their child's learning. And she did this while she waited for her washing. Libromat centers are combined training hubs, libraries, and laundromats. Parents and children enjoy classes in early childhood education, whilst the washing machines work away. Tonight, we're going to tell you why we combined education and laundry, how a center works, and what we're doing to scale.
But how can a parent support their child's education if they can't read? Interactive book sharing is about creating a rich and stimulating engagement between a parent and a child over a picture book. But sharing a book with a young child can feel very daunting for parents who've never done it before. When we invited parents, like Lindy here, to share a book with their child before beginning our program, we noticed that many lacked confidence and struggled to support their children's natural curiosity about the books. Lindy then began our 8-session program that guides parents through core techniques to involve their child. For example, how to relate the pictures in the book back to their child's own experience. Parents sit in a semicircle and are shown short illustrative video clips, and then practice techniques and get real-time feedback from the facilitator. This footage was taken directly after Lindy and her son completed our program, and you can see the transformation. She's now very proactive and animated as she relates the pictures in the book back to her son. She's using her voice to keep him engaged and questioning and commenting to him throughout. But how do we know that this really helps children learn? We've published peer-reviewed research on exactly this. Last year, the research team that I'm a part of carried out a randomized controlled trial on this program in a South African township. The study demonstrated substantial benefits to the children's language development and attention spans. As you can see in these graphs, there was a dramatic improvement on both of these measures for those that received the program. But what inspired us about this was that it was effective even if parents couldn't read themselves. And this is life-changing, because these are among the best predictors of future school performance and IQ. If you're investing $1 million for social impact, this is the kind of confidence that you want to have. But this is just the beginning. Libromats are educational centers, and in the future, we'll offer additional programs through our partner organizations, including Save the Children and Mom Connect.
But why offer laundry services? Our research team was conducting book sharing workshops in Lesotho, and when we began, we noticed this woman hand-washing clothes just opposite the center with her young son of 11 months on her back. We held 3 workshops over 3 hours, and still she was hand-washing clothes. Her name is Lorato, and like many women in the developing world, she spends, on average, 9 hours a week on this task. 9 hours. We realized if we had had a washing machine at our center, Lorato and her son would have been spending this time together very differently. And by meeting a routine need, we could have seen her weekly. We know this works in practice. The pictures you've been seeing are from our pilot site in Khayelitsha, South Africa. Parents love both the book sharing and the washing. For Ntomboxolo, it means washing clothes in winter is no longer a pain. As she says, the machine never complains, it just does its job. And for Zintle and her daughter, bedtime stories have become their special time as they cozy up together. We want every parent and child to have that experience. But would parents be willing to pay for this? The answer is a resounding yes. We conducted surveys in South Africa, Cameroon, and Guatemala, and found the mean willingness to pay to be between $3 and $4. And when we held focus groups with parents in Khayelitsha, we found that some families were already paying other people to hand wash their clothes. The going rate was $5. In South Africa, we're charging less than half of this price, $1.50 for an 8 kg wash load and a book sharing session. What does this mean for a single center? Each Libromat makes a monthly net profit of $900, breaks even at just 130 customers a month, and is profitable within the first year. With 4 classes a day, a single center reaches 5,700 children in a year. But to reach 10 million, we need a solution that can be scaled by local entrepreneurs. That's why we've worked with local partners to drive upfront costs down. In South Africa, Ikhayalami is constructing our centers and leasing them back to us until we own them, leaving setup costs of only $3,000. This means that Libromats are built for scale. They can be run by local entrepreneurs and employ local staff. We'll train and certify the educators and provide technical support through our expert partner, the International Center for Social Franchising. With a program of this caliber, though, we're attracting high-quality partners who want to make it a global reality. Ikai Alami, the Makulu Trust, and Save the Children have already committed to helping us expand to new countries. And so by 2020, we'll have 750 centers across the developing world, reaching 10 million children. But for us, it's not just about the quantity we reach. Quality is critical, as you've seen in our research, and so we're working with various solutions, global experts in social impact metrics, to help track this.
Your $1 million will make this a reality. With just $7,000, we've already opened our first site and proven our model. Going forward, with $200,000, we'll implement our franchising model, develop our evaluation system, and start new flagship centers in South Africa. From years 2 to 4, we'll use remaining capital for our global expansion, and we become cash flow positive by year 5. Our diverse team has the right balance of educational expertise and business acumen. We are Rhodes Scholars, educationists, business experts, and doctors. Both David and Nick will be returning to South Africa to continue operations in October. Andrew, Christian, and myself will be driving international expansion. We know LibraMat centers work, and parents love them, not just for the time they save, but for the visible difference it makes for their children. Every parent can be their child's best educator, and together, we can start a new chapter.
Time. Thank you very much.
I'll start.
Questions?
So, folks, franchising model, the biggest challenge is consistency, maintaining quality control, all those things. You're going to scale this thing as fast as you can possibly get the money to scale it. How do you make sure that happens?
Maybe if I can begin and then Nick might jump in. To begin, in each country, we're opening centers ourselves. And with these model flagship centers, allowing potential community members who want to run their own centers to participate, either work in those centers or gain the experience of how the model works. And then importantly, as we scale out into other communities, other countries, we're doing that with partners on the ground who are already embedded in those communities, understand how it's going to work best. And importantly, Vera Solutions are then tracking the efficacy and the accuracy with which the model does scale.
Ongoing training and evaluation is also key, to add to what Andrew was saying. And so we have regional coordinators and trainers throughout each country providing this ongoing support and checking up.
Have you checked any other way of delivering education to kids, less capital intensive than you make it out here? Like the machine itself is a capital intensive thing. Books not available. You showed very expensive books. And also you mentioned that machines don't complain. Machines always complain. It's big trouble. So that should be a core problem. It's energy and maintenance and all that. So how do you react to that?
So if I can respond to the laundry, and then I think Nick will take the quality of the books, and Andrew, hopefully, the maintenance of the machines. We came to a long journey before deciding on laundry. It was a long process. We held focus groups in South Africa, and through that, picked up this great time utility, and then we looked at time use surveys and found an extraordinary amount of time was being spent on it. And the burden of childcare and laundry often fall to the same person. So our reasons for laundry are very thorough. I think this is a very powerful way of delivering this.
Just onto books, we're fortunate to have a partner in the Makulu Trust who are specializing in the production of culturally appropriate books for sort of African countries, and they'll be supplying our centers with books. And I think books in particular are the most powerful vehicle for early learning. And so, yeah, they're an absolutely critical part of what we're offering, and we're very specific about the kinds of books that we use in our centers.
And very quickly on the machines, 100% they're a capital expense. However, we've signed agreements with various investors who will purchase the machines on the center's behalf, and then lease them back. So therefore, the capital expense is turned into an operational expense. And as part of that, we can then also defray the cost of maintenance and making sure that, at least for the users of our centres, the machines aren't complaining.
How does the model work? You note in your material that the model works for parents who aren't literate. Given it's a quite short course that you take parents through, how does it assist parents with no literacy to then engage in reading with their child?
So the emphasis of what we're going for is, in particular, the interpersonal relationship between the parent and the child. And so what is particularly beneficial about our proposition is we don't require books with words on them. We go for picture-intensive books that parents can easily relate to with their children, regardless of how literate they are.
And my favorite part of Laundry is it means that we can see them every week and it fits naturally into their lives for a very long time.
Our program's sometimes referred to as dialogic reading, creating a dialogue between a parent and child, which is key. It's not about the words on the page, it's about the conversation around a strong picture narrative, which is what's emphasized.
In scaling up your project, obviously you need to train the illiterate parents. How many trainers are you going to need to train the parents of 5 or 6 million children? And how much that will cost?
Yeah. So the trainers are the core cost in our model, and we don't see that as a bad thing. We see that as an investment in local communities. Each of our centres has one full-time trainer. So one full-time educator is part of that, so 750 overall, and each centre sees, on average, up to 5,500 children per year.
Please give a round of applause to Life. Thanks, guys. Our next team hails all the way from China. Yes, well noted. They are actually the first. We won a regional every year in Shanghai. Hult International Business School has a campus there. And this is actually the first Chinese team to ever win one of our regionals. So we're very happy to welcome SJTU from SJTU from China to the stage. And we're very pleased that Mike is with us also. On a recent pilot, he got bit by a dog, multiple dogs, 3 times. As you know, piloting in some of these urban areas around the world is not the easiest thing to do. And our program goes beyond just notebook or business plans. We actually encourage all of our startups to burn the business plan, get out in the field, and pilot. So we're pleased to have you guys here today. Good luck.
Imagine being illiterate, unable to read menus or street signs. Illiteracy and its consequences may be unimaginable for most of us, but it's the reality for 900 million people. Worst of all, research has proven the intergenerational transmission of illiteracy and its close link to poverty. Ending this illiteracy cycle is thus a key to ending the poverty one. For young children, the best way to develop the skills necessary for future literacy and academic success is being read to. For me, and I'm sure most of you, reading with our parents was the foundation of our ECE because it's fundamental to the development of literacy, language, curiosity, creativity, logic, and much more. Unfortunately, in urban slums, parental illiteracy denies millions of children the joys and benefits of being read to. We are Telestory, and we are here to recreate this experience for families across the developing world.
With a simple phone call, Telestory empowers illiterate parents to read to their children for the first time. Telestory works as follows. Step 1, we record audio content for local children's books. Step 2, we form partnerships on the ground with NGOs to reach our target customers and establish our library systems. 3, we upload our audio content to our cloud telephony service. 4, customers give a missed call to our number. They will then automatically receive a free call back, at which point they enter the ID of the book they have borrowed from our library. the book's corresponding audio lesson will then begin to play. Parents can press 1 to go to the next section of the book and 2 to repeat. 5, we track every student's progress and incentivize families accordingly. It's as simple as that. Record, partner, upload, call, evaluate. And excitingly, here you can see Tell a Story in action as a mother and her son have a book in front of them, listening to a Tell a Story audio lesson through her mobile phone. Repeating, interacting, and most importantly, learning together.
To encourage parent-child interaction, we program in games and open questions throughout our lessons, such as
Question time. What is the monkey eating?
And although Tell a Story was designed for illiterate parents, its potential is much greater. Many NGOs have inquired about using it as a teaching aid for preschool teachers, and many literate parents use Tell a Story to teach their children English. Additionally, our cloud telephony technology makes it easy to track a student's progress and collect data. We instantly record who is listening to our stories, what stories they're listening to, and how long they're listening for. We will begin our expansion in India, where 300 million adults, or 36% of the adult population, is illiterate, and where we've already reached 1,500 families across 6 Indian states.
One lesson that we learned on the ground is that different NGO partners will implement Tell a Story differently, making it necessary to provide flexible pricing options. At the ideal usage rate of 220 minutes per child per month, and at a scale of 500,000 users, we have the price of $1.35 US, a cost of $1.2 US, leaving a profit margin of 15 cents per child per month. Our targeted revenue model is to be half funded by the end user and half funded by CSR and NGO funds, with additional revenue through targeted advertising. India's Company Act of 2013 makes targeting CSR funds a sustainable method because it stipulates that companies must donate 2% of profits towards CSR initiatives. And with our limited time in the field in India, we've already gained letters of support from 2 multinational billion-dollar companies, BASF and Cvent. Our physical material costs are just 6 cents per child per month. And we've kept these down by operating these library systems inside the Balwadis, by creating our own content along the way, such as alphabet cards, and using Creative Commons material produced by our partner, Pratham Books, who publishes stories in 18 Indian languages.
Our overhead cost per month is 14 cents. We keep this cost down by partnering with ECE-focused NGOs. For our pilot, we partnered with Pratham and launched our pilot at 2 of Pratham's Balwadis, which are community-operated preschools. We train Pratham's Balwadi teachers on how to use Tell a Story and how to sign up new families. Today, we're proud to announce that continuing working with Pratham, we will target a goal of 2 million children in the next 5 years. Our tech cost per child per month is 10 cents. This consists of monthly maintenance and labor costs for our cloud telephony service. Our biggest cost is the calling out function at 90 cents. Tell a Story works with any mobile phone, which is important because in India, smartphone penetration is just 95%, but smartphone is 25%, and mobile phone penetration is greater than 95%.
Tell a Story is a lightweight, cloud-based company with 0 manufacturing costs that can scale rapidly. In just over 3 months alone, we've already reached over 60 ECE centers, reaching more than 1,500 families every single day, in 4 different languages, across 6 Indian states and 1 Chinese province. Furthermore, with our existing 8 NGO partners, we have a clear and defined pathway to 2.5 million children, working with the likes of Sesame Street and Pratham. But we won't stop there. There are around 40,000 of these Balwadis, and 500,000 of their sister Angwadi centers. As we further develop our content and our brand, we will expand within this existing infrastructure that is already there to reach the target of 10 million children in the next 5 years. We will focus initially on India before expanding internationally towards the end of year 3 to the likes of Bangladesh and China.
The $1 million prize will be used to bring our cloud telephony system in-house and fund our operating systems until we reach 1 million users, the point at which we break even and become self-sustaining. It will also be used to fund our international expansion. And we have the team to get it done. Between us, we have over 20 years experience in education and previously started 2 education social enterprises. So believe in us, tell a story. Let's end illiteracy, because every child deserves a bedtime story. Thank you.
Can you guys explain a little further the telco arrangements? Because people have restricted time at the household, and even though it's a 95% penetration of whatever the phone might be, it still is a cost to the end user. How do they manage that, particularly in light of the fact that a story is not a short story? I hope it's a long one.
Well, the users, for the user, the call is free. We give the missed call system, meaning that they call us and hang up before we pick up. And our computer, our server, Cloud Telephony, will automatically call them right back. And receiving a call is free, and telcos are okay with it. We don't have a telecom partnership right now. I think Kellum can tell you more about how that works. But.
Yeah, so on average, a call is around 5 to 8 minutes. So it's just a small amount of time every night time. The telecom deal has yet to be in place because our first target is to bring the cloud telephony in-house. At that point, we then decide which telecom receives our call. At that point, when we've reached scale, we have much stronger bargaining power to enter into a longer 3 to 5 year deal that would then see this 90 cents call fee that you've seen today be reduced dramatically.
This seems to me to be a major problem. Telephone companies hate to give free airtime.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I used to read to my children. I take 20 minutes or 25 minutes to read a story and to answer questions. It seems to me this is a major component in your project, and it's not clear how the cost of the airtime will be covered. Probably you should have considered using internet connections, but that again is an issue. And we know that 3 billion people actually lack connectivity to internet. So I think connectivity is going to be an issue. Do you have any comment to that?
Yeah, the price we pay now for the telecom deal is what we've been quoted in Mumbai. And so we pay per minute, and that's our biggest variable cost. And that's priced into the model. It's in our cost. And so from our experience, as long as we're paying the telecom company, they're happy to keep giving us minutes. Currently, our cloud telephony system is outsourced, which is one reason why we need to bring it in-house, so we can better negotiate with the telecom deal to get bulk minute pricing. But the price you see in the cost is not bulk minute pricing. That's just what they gave us. And that's what we pay. Yeah.
You're saying that you take the cost part of the telephone on yourself, but if it's a business, it has to be passed on to them ultimately, because you'll be charging them.
Yeah.
So that cost will be either passed on to the consumer, or it will be some donations from somebody else. Otherwise, that telephone call time would be unresolved.
The users pay for a monthly subscription, and in that monthly subscription, they get minutes.
The subscription, it has to cover 8 minutes per night.
Yeah.
Call time. Either you pay on their behalf, then you charge them in your monthly charge. It has to be ultimately consumer who will be paying it. Yes. So that sounds costly affair. Have you thought about same thing in a radio situation? Why didn't you good old radio? What happened to the radio? It doesn't cost anybody anything. And every telephone has a radio time, or there is a radio everywhere. So this is one. Television. Many people, those who have that in the slums, have televisions too. So you went straight to using yet time. Don't you think it's a little expensive considering the other alternatives?
Mohammed, you cannot put children to sleep with television on.
That's it. How about the radio thing then?
Yeah, so we have thought about radio, and the brilliant thing about using the mobile phones is it becomes customizable over time through the data that we track, meaning that we can understand parents and child, and then we can recommend stories and to meet them at their level. But with a radio, you can only play it at one time, and it's for everybody, which means you can't operate a library system, and you're not using an actual book. What we think is brilliant about Telestory is it forces parents and children to come into this environment where they're learning through the books. In terms of connectivity, it's a great point. We really hope that connectivity goes up, because then the delivering of the audio lesson is free. But right now, with the telecom deal, the brilliant thing is with the CSR initiative, by law, they have to donate 2% of their profits, and we are looking to use that within our system. But I'm out of time.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
So about 2 years ago to the day, we had a team present here, right here on this stage. And that team was Aspire Food Group. Our challenge that year was to take on food insecurity worldwide. And we challenged students from around the world to come up with innovations that go beyond a nutritious bar, a nutritious solution. We challenged students to think outside the box and be creative. We were all inspired when we saw this next speaker. We're going to take a little break from the pitches and introduce you to Mohammed Ashur, CEO and co-founder of Aspire Food Group, the winner of the 2013 Hult Prize. They created a startup which the UN called one of the companies that could likely end the food security crisis worldwide. Mohammed has 2 master's degrees, one in neuroscience. He's just taken a sabbatical from medical school to run Aspire Food Group full-time. Since winning the $1 million Hult Prize, they've completed a significant round of funding, and they've scaled to operations which I've visited personally in Ghana, Texas, and Mexico. They're changing the world, and Mohammed's going to give you a short preview. We'll use this as a mini intermission about some of the things they're doing and how the Hult Prize has enabled them to change their entire trajectory and create a farming system which is novel to the entire continent of Africa. I'll show you a quick update video, and then Mohammed will give you a couple words.
We refuse to live in a world where food and nutrition insecurity abound. Over 2 billion people around the world consume insects already as a regular part of a diet. Insects are not only deemed delicious by the communities that consume them, but they are impressively nutritious.
If you look at farming in general, you need a lot of land, water, and most of them are really labor and capital intensive. But palm larvae farming, on the other hand, is something that anybody can do.
We have, for the first time in the history of the continent of Africa, been able to introduce the farming of palm weevils in captivity to rural farmers. This has never been done before. We've operationalized all of this into a single device that you can give an illiterate farmer in rural Ghana, and they would be able, within days and minimal training, to actually start production. And we've actually done this with over 500 farmers throughout Ghana.
After the master time, maybe some man be an asset, my identity. Mayana said, a tokos noodles baby some much the answer.
The youngest collaborator is a 6-year-old guy. Then again, we have people as old as 70 years taking part in this. These people no longer have the strength to do farming, which is the major practice in these communities. So it is an easy way for them to earn cash.
This type of farming can be done anywhere in Ghana. And especially the rural folks, they need this farming to
supplement their income and then to have protein in their diet.
It is an alternative way of giving people continuous livelihood and also raising their standard of living because they are making money.
We are losing track of some of our traditional foods. And so really what Aspire is doing is bringing in new technology to increase the production of some of our traditional foods and also transforming them and making them more appealing to the younger generations.
Aspire has tried to improve lives, especially looking at nutritional values, using what is already available, easily accessible, and less expensive.
We hope we're going to be able to irreversibly change people's lives and do that by creating sustainable impact through education and empowerment in every one of these communities and creating an ecosystem where people are supported with the right kinds of resources. Whether it's new technology that has never existed in this continent, all the way through to new kinds of foods and contributions to the food economy in these countries that are going to have incredible impact on people's lives and nutrition. Thank you very much. It's always an honor to be here. The Hull Prize does something really extraordinary to most social entrepreneurs that go through this process. What it does is it takes you as a student, typically at a university, it hurls you in front of one of the most pressing, perplexing global challenges that are facing people contemporarily, and it's daring you to come up with a solution for it. And for most of us, this is such a difficult proposition because many students, myself included, assumed that we understood what our potential was and assumed that we understood what our career trajectories were going to be. And the Hull Prize came and disrupted all of this. And it compelled us to introspect and ask ourselves whether we can actually do more and whether we can actually be more. And one of the most fascinating things about this process is that through this, we are able to learn about ourselves certain things that we can do something we never actually thought we can do. And that knowledge is so powerful because it cannot be unlearned. And once empowered with this idea that you can actually accomplish something extraordinary. In 2013, the challenge was addressing food insecurity in urban slums. We didn't look at this as a declaration. We looked at it as a dare. And no social entrepreneur turns down a dare. And one of the things that particularly inspired us about this is to sincerely ask ourselves, not the what behind what we do, which is simple. We produce edible insects for human consumption as a means to address food and nutrition insecurity. Or the how behind we do it, that we have pioneered groundbreaking technology to empower farmers in peri-urban and rural communities to produce insects for their own consumption or commercial activity. But really, the why behind what we do. And that is something that can easily be articulated in a statement that represents exactly why many of us at Aspire wake up every day in the morning to pursue this, why so many of us at a drop of a hat gave up so many careers and opportunities. We refuse to live in a world where food and nutrition insecurity abound. And we have the audacity, the skills, the passion, the ingenuity, the rebelliousness, and the commitment to excellence to do something about it. And that's why we aspire. Thank you. Now, in thinking about the social entrepreneur's trajectory in their career, an interesting thing is that many of us want careers, but when you go through this Hull Prize effect, you end up now in a situation where you're actually creating careers. Prior to the Hull Prize, many of us worked in an industry, and after going through this journey, we are pioneers of industries that are blossoming. Prior to the Hull Prize, the pinnacle of our education was a university degree. And now we are learning more things about ourselves and the world than we ever possibly could have in a classroom. In closing, what I'm going to say, and I will particularly direct this at the teams competing tonight, is that we're often told that the leaders of tomorrow, or that the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. And I personally beg to differ. And I believe the Hult Prize begs to differ. And I believe every single one of the 6 finalist teams begs to differ. If you look around the world and see all of the different industries, from telecommunication to transportation to education, that are being disrupted, and you look at who is behind this disruption, it's often youth. The youth of today are not the leaders of tomorrow. The youth of today are the leaders of today. And it's for this reason that I'm not going to take much more of your time and actually ask the leaders of today to continue to come up here and inspire everybody here with what their plans are to bring to life and to bring to this world immense change. And what I ask of you isn't just your urgent attention to the important messages that every one of these teams is bringing and the brilliant ideas that they have, but to identify how you could possibly support these teams, either through your resources, your networks, or your own knowledge. Thank you very much, and the best of luck to all teams.
Man, he's an amazing speaker. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Obviously, you know why Aspire Food Group won the Hult Prize a couple years ago, and we're very, very proud of their work, and we're continuing to support them. Now, back to the show. A little housekeeping. We're going to do 3 more presentations, and then we're going to let the judges go backstage and do a few minutes of deliberation. And then we'll wait for President Clinton to show up and get the official verdict, and we'll announce the winners. Okay? So without further ado, I'd like to call the next team up to the stage. It always takes a little bit of extra oomph to get through creating a startup and launching a company, nonetheless a company trying to change the world. Well, this next team went through so much adversity in coming up with their idea and solution into the Hult Prize. They actually were a runner-up in one of our regional rounds. So we host competitions in Boston, San Francisco, London, Dubai, and Shanghai, and teams fly in from all over the world to one of those 5 cities. The runners-up are given a wild card opportunity. We run an online round, because while we know our judges always get it right, we like to give our runners-up a second chance. And this team actually competed in one of those regionals and came back to win. And I'd like to welcome Impact from National University Chenjai in Taiwan. And the way we run our online round is through crowdfunding. So prior to coming into the Summer Accelerator, this team had already raised almost $60,000, had somehow managed to have their logo placed on the tallest building in Taipei, and ran an online campaign that literally had thousands from around the world supporting them. So it's with great honor that I turn the stage over to you guys so you can share your disruptive startup with the community. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're Impact. We provide quality early education by connecting investors with community entrepreneurs to build playcares. As we begin, a small favor. Think about what perfect early childhood education looks like. If you're like us, you picture a safe and clean space filled with smiles. The type of smiles kids only have while playing. And playing isn't just what kids do best, it's how they learn best. All the ECE studies that have followed children to adulthood, they have one thing in common: play-based classroom interventions. This is ECE that will break the poverty cycle. But any kind of ECE is a tough sell in urban slums because parents don't see it as a critical need. A special person to us showed us a way around this. ECE that allows parents to work has none of these problems. Meet this person, Alma, an entrepreneur running an informal daycare in San Salvador. She charges $2 a day and does a great job at keeping kids out of trouble. But conditions aren't great. They mostly sit on the third floor and watch TV, idle and unengaged. Yet parents happily pay for the service. Why? Because they need to go to work. Informal care allows them to do that, but leaves their children behind. We have a better way. We want Alma to run her own Impact Playcare. This is a quality early education center. The Impact Playcare is a holistic solution and affordable. It includes a play-based Montessori training, a purpose-built facility, and ongoing support from Impact. With the help of an assistant, Alma can provide quality ECE to 20 children at a time. And informal care is a huge market. There are over 200,000 of these in Latin America, on which parents spend $1.6 million a day. We will transform these into playcares, adding educational value to the children already there, and provide more opportunities to other children. But capitalizing on this market means going big quickly. And existing paradigms are not appropriate for this type of social business. So we needed to redefine who provides the capital and under what terms. We needed a new form of financial inclusion. Our idea? Harness the power and flexibility of demand dividend investing. Put simply, you invest startup capital in Alma's Playcare and receive a share of the profits over time until a multiple of your investment is repaid. This is ideal for franchises in the informal context, such as Alma's, who has a predictable cash flow. Today, I'm proud to announce the world's first demand dividend platform, Playcares.com. It allows you to directly invest in our entrepreneurs, track the status of your Playcare, and the lives it has changed. Forbes magazine recently said that social impact investing is the next venture capital, and Playcares.com is a truly personal way to do it.
Now, we want to show you what we've been doing in a community in my home country, El Salvador. This is La Cuchilla, an urban slum in the heart of San Salvador. And this is Alma's house. This community was the center of our online round winning campaign to build our first Playcare. And here it is, Alma's new Playcare. We built it in just 4 days with our partner Techo. The mayor cut the ribbon and it opened to a full class. Look at them, so happy, doing what they do best. This is the kind of ECE that will change lives.
Wow. We distilled that amazing experience down into something we call the Playcare Blueprint. This is the A to Z of building Playcares. We identify great people like Alma for you to invest in on Playcares.com. Techo, our great partner, builds that Playcare with advanced materials from Plysem. Techo have built 100,000 homes in informal settlements over the last 10 years, so they're the best person for the job. The Hilda Rothschild Foundation, who have 25 years of experience training urban slum mothers as teachers, handles our teaching program. And finally, we do a combination of in-class observation and follow-up interviews to make sure the kids are on track to pass grade 1. Now, every Playcare built is a sustainable small business. It enables thousands of hours of work for parents and delivers research standard ECE to their children. It costs an unsubsidized $8,000 to build and generates $4,000 a year in profit at 75% capacity. Now, each Playcare is co-owned by Impact, our entrepreneurs, and investors like you. Having a profit model based on profit sharing means that Impact is really the basis. Now, our investors receive 50% of the profits until they're paid back, their multiples paid back, and then Impact and the entrepreneur share the remainder. And we have a full scaling plan. We're going to hit 25 high-impact cities, 10 million children in the next 5 years, and we're already off to an amazing start. Alma's Playcare is already generating revenue, and we have 6 more on the way in Guatemala, Mexico, and even back in Taiwan. What about the next 1,000? Well, the answer is marketing. Our Playcares.com marketing plan has already generated huge traction. We've been targeting 2 main segments: individual investors and corporations. Now, for individuals, we launched a preview of Playcares.com where they can explore our entrepreneurs and pledge to their projects. In the first week, we signed up 2,000 people. And for corporations, Anne developed a CSR program where companies build local play cares by matching the investments of their employees on our platform. And we wanted to come here tonight with 1 or 2 companies to prove this concept. And we actually have 51 signed deals. This is 65,000 employees waiting to invest on playcares.com and build the future of education. Capitalizing on this massive potential means that we need tonight's $1 million to do 3 things. We need to expand our geographic reach with our first 5 city offices in Latin America and continue to develop and market our platform. Now, we want to go bigger than that, and we have the leverage. The Taipei Angels, one of Asia's largest angel investment groups, if we win here tonight, we'll invest $500,000 to start Asian operations as well as Latin American. And the Rotary Club in Taiwan, $300,000 to start building play cares immediately. And even more exciting, TSMC, which is one of the world's largest companies, wants to invest in us to co-develop a factory play care product and put it in all their facilities. And even more, the Sam Lee Group back in El Salvador have already pre-ordered 3 factory play cares. This is play care quality where parents live and where they work. And to think, this all started 1 year ago with a simple dream. We wanted to build real education for the kids who needed it most. And we convinced 750 investors to make that dream a reality for Alma and the kids of La Cuchilla. Now, imagine the impact when we invest millions.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That click was not working, man.
Great job, guys. Also, right on time. 1 second to go. Good job. Questions?
So, go ahead, Mohammed.
Are you assuming that you'll be doing it in existing facility, or you're thinking of procuring land, building your own facility? What is the strategy?
JD?
Can we pull slide 34, please?
Well, one of the key things here is that our partner Techo has experience, like Taylor said, they have built 100,000 homes in informal settlements. But this is very a context-sensitive solution. For La Cuchilla in El Salvador, we were planning on implementing a modular solution that would enable to build up, but the community said we had available land, so you could build here. So it's going to depend on the context.
We can either transform a mother's apartment into a 2-floor apartment and school, or we can do a new build in place if the land exists. But obviously, every urban slum is different, so we have the flexibility to do either.
I think one of the problems in the slums is the question of ownership of land. And every 2 or 3 years, police descend and with tractors and destroy everything. Did you take that into account, that maybe your centers will be one day washed out by the authorities?
Can we pull slide 30, please?
We absolutely took that into account, because if you're going to invest $8,000 into a school in the urban slums, you really want a good 10, 15-year lifespan out of it. And actually, we used Techo's method. They are in 19 Latin American countries. They've had interventions in every single urban slum in Latin America, and the rules are always the same. If you don't modify the ground with a foundation, you are allowed to build on top, and actually that can still be yours. And the great thing about our schools is they can actually be taken down in one day and moved. And as a matter of fact, countries actually have laws to protect the assets the communities do have. So if the government ever comes and moves one of our communities, they have to help establish our play care in the new area too. So we are more than happy to build in urban slums and develop the communities.
Your scalability is entirely dependent, it seems to me, on finding more people like Alma who want to make the step up. What's the incentive for them, other than having their own vision for childcare? And I hope that there are thousands of people out there that do have that vision. But surely there's going to be a constraint where people would say, look, I'm looking after 4 kids now, I'm earning an income off that, it's not that hard because I basically put them in front of the television. Why should I do this step up? Quite complicated in terms of financing, a lot more responsibility, the training about the play. What's the incentive for the individual?
Slide 32, please.
So there's a couple answers to that. First of all, the informal daycare that Alma's running was making her about $80 a day. Now actually a cost of our play care is a basic salary that's already doubled that for her, and she gets profit sharing. We also have other incentive structures in place where we're doing scholarships through local universities to actually certify people like Alma as real teachers. So we not only have a better basic salary for her, we have a real good progression path too. So we can really bring her out of poverty and make her something that she never was able to be before.
What's the rate of return that you're looking for the investor? So you've said they get their money back, that's good, and what's the return rate on top?
So the investors will get 1.3 times their initial investment back in about 4 or 5 years. The IRR is about 8% a year. And we think the risk profile is very low because, of course, these are backed by our organization. These aren't coin flip investments. These are things that are our revenue source too. So we will guarantee they work.
I have found out the hard way that even social investors want information real time. They want to know how their investment's doing. How are you guys, as you expand and globalize this, how do you put an infrastructure in place to capture that information and highlight that information to the companies and the individuals that invest?
So one of the big features of our platform and why we really like the platform is because it makes this a personal investment opportunity. Now our organization is based around an employee called a project manager, and the project manager is responsible for running the Play Care Blueprint, building the schools, and doing follow-ups every 2 weeks. And what they do during the follow-ups is they take pictures, they do interviews, and there's a feature on our platform where those can be uploaded directly to the school's profile. And if you're an investor in that school, you get notified of that right away. And you also get, brief financial performance for the school and all the things a social investor would want in addition to the personal elements.
May I suggest that you don't try to guarantee any return or investment? That is a very, even Apple and Google don't guarantee return of investment. So please don't try to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As you can see, all of our teams have worked very hard. They spent the summer literally living together, working together, playing together, very hard at work creating some of these startups. Our next team, Somos, from ISADE Business School, was undisputedly the hardest working team. They pivoted about 10 times in their business, always adapting to market trends. They had members of their team in Mexico on the ground conducting pilots, and it took them ages to explain to everyone else that Mark Zuckerberg is revolutionizing the internet by making it available in urban slums across the world for free. Given their advertising revenue model, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg is allowing social enterprises like Somos to exist. We'll turn it over to you guys.
This is my niece, Olivia. Because her parents had access to the world's best early childhood education resources, she's reading above her grade level, charming her teachers, and learning Spanish.
This is Jesus. He was born into poverty in Mexico City. Despite having as much potential as Olivia, his opportunities and outcomes will be completely different. He will be 2 years behind his peers when he starts school and will never catch up. All because Jesus lacks access to high-quality, reliable early childhood education.
But it isn't only Jesus. There are 100 million kids just like him. We are Somos, and we aim to change that. Somos means we are in Spanish, and we are an interactive social media company delivering educational curricula, social support, and access to other resources through pre-existing infrastructure. We empower parents to become their children's best educators by building virtual villages of resources and support around them. Put simply, we deliver developmental curricula through parents' phones that turns their daily routines into brain-building activities for their kids. We connect parents with other parents in their area who have similarly aged children to provide mutual support and reinforcement. Through our virtual villages, we give our parents access to a host of other resources. This is how we make early childhood education accessible, reliable, and affordable. But what's more, we make the benefits last a lifetime.
We began in Mexico City because it is my hometown and has the largest slum in the world. We are targeting parents of children 0 to 6 living in urban slums with mobile phones and making $1 to $7 per day. So, The best part is that we know it works. We have hundreds of active members already benefiting from our services. Meet Norma, Jesus' mother, and our typical user. We met Norma through an organization where she was already receiving services from, because we believe it's critical to access new users through trusted channels. That's why we partner with hospitals, schools, and other organizations to reach our parents.
Sign up is as easy as sending a text message, and immediately Norma begins receiving our service. Access to a community of support and messages daily in text and in audio. In text and in audio.
Yes. And
it does more.
On Fridays, we also have stories.
Yes. Fridays, inspirational stories that we've crowdsourced from the community that she can then share with Jesus.
Norma enjoys the stories and activities because they're already integrated into her daily life, and the kids love them. That's why our members join, but most importantly, why they stay. Norma likes the story, so she shares, inviting her other friends to join the online village. On Saturday, Norma decides to take her 3 kids to the playdates we organize. While the kids play together, parents talk, building friendships and a sense of community. The benefits of peer-to-peer learning have been proven significant and long-lasting. Playdates are a family activity, and we found out that dads love them.
At the Playdates and over her phone, we give Norma the opportunity to open an educational savings account for Jesus. Kids with savings accounts dedicated to education do better in school and stay in school longer. This is the first of many services we plan to aggregate for our members, including courses in English and financial literacy.
Over time, Norma has emerged as a leader in her village, answering parents' questions and enforcing the community guidelines. She's one of the super mamas that emerged from each community, and what we're doing here is that from our pool of super mamas, we recruit our community managers, formal paid employees whose job is to support the super mamas, organize the playdates, and advertise our services. With the 1 million, we're hiring Norma.
This model has many benefits. Starting with quality, we deliver cutting-edge curricula licensed through our partnerships with Vroom and Parent University. This content was designed by the world's leading experts on early childhood development who believe that one-on-one, serve and return interactions with a loving caregiver are the single most important education a young child can receive. This content was designed to be delivered via mobile phone and has been proven effective that way. Our system of messages, playdates, and community building is holistic and diverse, stimulating learning in multiple and better ways. It's culturally sensitive because it's culturally co-created, and we use locals to adapt our messages. As until now, education of this quality has been inaccessible to poor parents. We changed that by utilizing existing infrastructure to reach parents where they are. We use WhatsApp, the world's most popular messaging system, already used by nearly 1 billion people. It's affordable for the same reason that it's accessible, because we don't have to build infrastructure, we have low fixed assets, and no inventory. We priced our offering at $6 a year because we found that that's the optimal price point to ensure affordability, as well as make sure it's valued by our users, and to make it sufficiently profitable for us.
Research shows that the gains made by early childhood development programs are lost by 3rd grade. That is why we build communities and offer savings accounts. Social support for education and a way to pay for it are critical to giving Jesus a real chance to succeed on the long term. Through communities and savings accounts and our complementary services, we make the benefits last.
None of this matters if it's not financially sustainable and scalable. The majority of our revenues come from our subscription fees, and we depend on sponsorships for our playdates. Already, we've signed agreements with major companies sponsoring our first 40 playdates. Our model also benefits from virality as our members share the word for us. That's how we've enjoyed a 33% organic growth rate month on month. Even better, we have a 1,600 person waiting list in all our primary markets.
So here's our expansion plan. We started in Mexico City, and in 2017, we will go to Colombia and Brazil because of cultural and physical proximity. In 2018, we will go to Indonesia, and in 2019, we'll go to India because Harold lived there for 16 years and he knows the market pretty well. By 2020, we will have reached 10 million kids with a revenue of 33 million at a profit margin of 9%. These are our funding milestones, with the money primarily used for the working capital during the expansion, app development, and marketing.
As investors, you want to know that the team you're investing in has all the necessary and complementary skills to make the business a success. We do. You want to know that they have a powerhouse team of advisors behind them who simply won't allow them to fail. We do. You want to know that the team won't stop at anything to get this done. We won't. Why? Because we shouldn't be here. We come from 5 different countries on 4 different continents and have backgrounds as different as you can possibly imagine. And yet the one thing we have in common, the reason that we are all here, is because we had parents who invested in us and our success, no matter how much or how little they had. You challenged us to design a business delivering high-quality early childhood education to 10 million children within the next 5 years. We did it. Our solution is simple, scalable, effective, and enduring. It takes a village to raise a child. Help us build one around every kid who needs it.
I'll start. You guys don't mind? I believe you said that it's $6 a subscription per year. How do you collect that? How do you charge it over time or whatever? Because $6 is not insignificant to the parts of the world you're going.
Absolutely, that's a very good question. As far as the process goes for money collection, we will actually start signing up parents for the subscription service at our play dates. They'll actually receive a 1-month trial as which they get to try the service, really enjoy the benefits of it being within the community that receives all the text messages. And then at some point we kind of follow up with them and say, would you like to sign up for the next year? And so far, as we've talked to a lot of parents in our pilot in Mexico, they've actually indicated a high willingness to pay. In regards to your question about the cost, we've actually looked at the average, the daily wages. And so when it comes down to it, that $6 per year in Mexico and actually in a couple of the other markets that we're talking about amounts to less than 1% of their annual income.
Parents will need a smartphone to access your service?
Also a very good question. We don't require them to have a smartphone. They need to have a mobile device to be able to receive these messages. And these messages can actually be received on what's called a feature phone. So it's not really a smartphone, but it's not really a regular phone that just makes calls and receives text messages. It's one that has some additional applications built into it. They're priced at around $20, give or take, and then it goes up from there.
And the penetration is 80% plus in the markets we're talking about.
Key to the success of your project that you presented is the content of what you deliver. That you have not touched very much.
Okay.
Would you explain why people should be in it? They may sign up for a while, they may drop out immediately or later on. How do you keep them in the process so that the children continue to be benefited?
Can we have slide 70, please? So I worked with orphans in Kyrgyzstan, and one of the shocking things that I noticed, like, I knew that they were behind in development, but when I took an infant, it was not smiling, you know, and it's one of the problems that it happens because of the lack of servant return interactions that form brain architecture, and brain architecture basically determines if the child is going to be healthy and if the child is going to be successful academically and professionally. In our partner Vroom, with the help of world-class education leaders, came up with this very simple solution, which is basically to look in chat and follow and stretch the conversation with the kid, even if the child is newborn or 4 or 5, 6 years old. And also, it's very important to take turns. When the child responds, it's not just to end the conversation, but also to continue. So I can give you one of the examples. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I'm gonna skip the diaper song because we're eating, and color will like. So it's basically teaching the child to learn colors. But the way the message is constructed is that it encourages parents not only to teach colors, but also to come up with the stories behind the colors. So that the child is more connected to a parent, and also it's much easier to remember something that when you have a story behind. And also, our inspirational stories we crowdsource from the communities. And yeah, that's it.
A lot of content. Great.
Yeah, so we found...
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
How many messages a day on average would a subscriber get? And, you know, how are they age appropriate? How do you do the up to 6?
So, can you please pull up slide 85? Until 2020, we're going to send out 7 billion messages. We're going to send out to each parent a daily message.
Time. Thank you guys very much. Round of applause for Isada.
Thank you.
So our next and final team hails from the University of Tampa, our only U.S. team, and they spent the majority of their summer piloting in Nigeria. And we've had long conversations over the phone, over Skype, on some of the breakthroughs that have been made by Tembo in their pursuit to engage telecoms to launch early childhood education solutions. And the beautiful thing, Tembo, make your way up to the stage. The beautiful thing about the Hult Prize in our community is we're developing breakthrough models for social entrepreneurship. And a lot of times, the models from one year versus the next will actually carry over. And we're very excited today to watch and learn, and all of you can have an idea of some of the innovation that can take place in the social enterprise sector with this very unique business model presented by Tembo. Good luck to you guys.
That Nigerian slum you just saw is called Makoko, where Jasmine lives. Jasmine is a mother, and like millions of other mothers, desires education for her children. But what's available for her now lacks quality, isn't accessible, and even if it was, she can't afford it. We solved all three. First, by picking one of the best home-based curriculums. Then, we made it accessible by using the world's most popular communication platform, SMS text messages. And lastly, we found a way to make it affordable by using airtime as currency. We strategically partnered with an evidence-based curriculum that's been educating children for over 45 years in 14 countries, HIPPY. It is a CGI member and has been ranked the top curriculum in the world by Lego Foundation and Ashoka Changemakers. The reason we use SMS text messages is because over 89% of the world uses them. This allows us to make education accessible to every child in the world, regardless of where they reside. And by delivering our curriculum through our telecom partners, we're able to use their existing distribution channels. This allows us to use their airtime to decrease our cost, which reduces prices, making it affordable for the parents. And we had preconceived notions about how to solve ECE in the slums. The usual, build a school, develop an educational product, provide storybooks, but it wasn't until we lived in the slums for 3 months that we discovered the most overlooked and obvious solutions to their problem: airtime. We developed an innovative way to allow parents to educate their children through their airtime of their mobile phone. This is because airtime is the currency of the slums. They use it to buy groceries with, transportation, all of the things you and I use cash for. So we're partnering with our telecoms to allow us to use their existing infrastructure and distribution channels to deliver our curriculum, receive our payment, and pay our home educators, all through using airtime as currency. This is the most innovative, scalable, and sustainable solution to educating 10 million children by 2020. The Vice President said, this is the solution they've been looking for. The Vice President of Nigeria said the solution is Tembo.
The reason IBM called us the Uber of education is because Tembo is a mobile education platform that pairs home educators with parents the way that Uber pairs drivers with passengers. Jasmine hears about our program from a friend, parent, or a church. And to join, she texts join to Tembo, and just like that, she uses airtime to pay for her child's education. Tembo pairs her with a home educator who is trained and certified and lives in her community, who is paid in airtime for visiting Jasmine once a week to teach her the 20-minute activities through role play. Tembo's program incentivizes the learning process. For meeting developmental milestones, parents receive free airtime and children receive free promotional items, all provided by our telecom partners. Since June, our developmental milestones have been met with a 90% success rate. For telecoms, there is no customer loyalty in the market, but Tembo, a value-added service, requires parents and home educators to subscribe to our telecom partners, which increases market share and decreases churn. So in return, the telecoms provide us with a percentage of the revenue we generate. We pay our home educators in airtime because we can buy it at a 50% discount, which allows us to pay our home educators double the amount we could pay in cash. 6 billion people use SMS, and 2 billion of them live in the slums, and over 600 million live in our target market of sub-Saharan Africa. 54 million children who are ages 0 to 6 live in sub-Saharan Africa, which is why we began in Nigeria, because it is the world's fastest growing mobile phone market, and the birth rate is 5.5 children per mother, making it one of the locations with the greatest need for ECE.
Our one-year plan began in Nigeria. Our one-year plan began in June with our pilot study. On July 1st, we began collecting revenue, and on September 10th, we opened up our second office. As we speak, Tembo Education is currently educating children in urban slums across Nigeria, 19 to be specific. 19 urban slums across Nigeria.
One-year lease.
Our one-year lease, which is located in the binders in front of you, has been signed, and we will be looking, our one-year lease has been signed, and we'll expand to 500 home educators and 24,000 children by the end of 2016. In fact, the CEO of Nigeria's largest energy company, Owando, has committed $600,000 to our expansion across the African region. Our endeavors have even been supported by figures like the governor of Lagos, as well as the vice president of Nigeria. In year 2, we will have expanded into Kenya and Ghana with the support of our partners at CGI University, as well as Mr. Herman Chinnery, the Bill Gates of Ghana. Bill Gates of Ghana.
2018.
All right.
By 2018.
By 2020, we will have expanded with our partner Tier 1 Solutions, which is the education provider for software companies, which is the education software provider for companies like like McDonald's, NASA, and the United States Air Force.
Our mobile app will be presented in 2018 because feature phones will be outnumbered by smartphones. So to adapt to the market, we're releasing our mobile app. The beta version has already been created, so that way we'll have 2 service lines, one for feature phones, which is SMS, and a mobile app for those with smartphones. So by year 3, we'll be expanding because of our partners. We've already been asked by 10 countries to expand into Latin America and South America, and then we'll be expanding to the rest of Africa as well as Southeastern Asia, all because we can operate anywhere our telecoms and Hippie already exists. So we're not just educating children, we're creating 200,000 new jobs and empowering 5 million mothers. Our $1 million isn't here to start the business, it's to scale the business. It's already operating. This is our team, and we are passionate individuals advised by credible industry leaders like Mariano Lagos from Verizon Wireless sitting behind you at our table.
Thank you very much, guys, Team Tembo.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Prime Minister Gillard.
I would appreciate more of an explanation on how airtime is currency. So, for example, for your home educator who gets paid in airtime, how is that of value to her?
Well, first of all, a great question. Airtime is currency because the first thing that they pay for in the slums is food, obviously. But the second thing is airtime. In fact, people that make less than $2 a day spend 25% of their revenue on airtime for their phones. With our innovative incentive program, we give back 6% of that, and that is why it's a currency for us and for them. In fact, they do it just like Phil said, use it for transaction in their daily activities, for groceries, transportation, for extra safety measures, and they can even save at these.
It's a digital currency, so it's held on their phone. And a lot of the problems in the slums is that once they start making a lot of money, family and friends will start asking it from them. And so this is a way for them to save it on their phone without it being apparent to other people in the community that they're making good money.
But how to cash it? I mean, that's a question.
And how do you transfer it? So if I've got excess airtime and I want to buy something from you, how's it transferred?
Sure. So there's a short code message that you would send it. So I would type in the word transfer, their phone number, my 4-digit PIN code, and then it would send, and it would ask me for a reply of yes to confirm that I want to transfer that airtime. It's very simple. It's used every day. While I was living in Nigeria, here's my feature phone that is used to transfer this, and you can use smartphones as well. So it's a very common practice.
You are targeting low-income people, obviously,
Yes.
and but illiteracy is very high. But your system depends on text, so you are actually excluding illiterate parents, correct?
Well, that's a great question. We've strategically partnered with Hippie, who has been educating illiterate parents even in Australia, actually, with the Aboriginal population. One of the reasons that we use home educators is to have this intervention so they can actually work with the illiterate parents. In fact, what we use and what Hippie uses is called rote learning, where it's based off mimicry and memorization. Through that, we can also teach illiterate parents as well.
So what he was saying is it's already educating illiterate populations in the Aboriginals in Australia. It uses memorization and mimicry. So how the activities are taught to the parent, from the home educator to the parent to child, is through role playing. So they act them out, and all they have to do is read the instructions to the parent. And what happens is they're acting it out, so all they have to do is mimic the movements that the home educator is making, and then the child can learn from that. As long as they're using the same exact process the home educator used, then they will have a successful learning milestone achieved for the child.
Can you give us an example of a milestone which would, how you would define it, measure it, and therefore trigger the airtime reward?
So these milestones are done in different measures. We have pre and post tests, we have bi-weekly assessments, and we do have daily quizzes. For example, to give an example, we have a lot of curriculum activities. One of our 3-year-old curriculum activities is for language and special awareness. For this, we talk to the parents and tell them, hey, you have to, with your kid, identify and touch your shoulders, your arm, and your elbows. And then we let them figure out how to move those places so that they can actually get motor skills. And on top of that, we told them to describe what they're doing so they can have vocabulary skills developed as well. Now, the quiz question for this is going to read something like this. You're going to have a quiz question on SMS, and it's going to say,
Slide 54.
Today I have learned with my child, answer 1, how to move and identify the shoulders and legs. Answer 2, how to move and identify the elbows and the arms. Answer number 3, how to move and identify the shoulders, arms, and elbows. That way we know exactly if they've performed the activities with their children, making sure that the parents are involved in the learning process.
So there's 3 controls to make sure that the parents are educating their child, the home educators are educating the parent, and that the children are actually learning. There's bi-weekly assessments for the children, which are rewarded with promo items. MTN gave us 120 school bags, pencil cases, and mathematics sets. So that's one example for the children. For the parents, it's airtime, and for the home educators, it's airtime. If they answer the quiz correctly, we reward them with free airtime.
Yeah, but for illiterate parents, who depends a lot then on the role of educator in order to communicate. I imagine all the kids in a community go to sleep at the same time. Can you imagine a big traffic jam, 50 parents trying to get help from one educator?
Well, that is why we've defined them in groups. Each home educator has 24 parents that they're responsible of. That is why that's not going to occur in our program. We made sure that the logistics works.
Time. Thank you. Big round of applause for Tembo, University of Tampa. Let's give a warm CGI-style applause for all 6 teams. At this stage in the evening, we'd like to ask the jury to make their way backstage. And I'd like to especially thank Bob Harrison and the Clinton Global Initiative for hosting us every year. They've been a proud partner to the Holt Prize, and they've given us so much support along with President Clinton. So thank you for that, Bob. I would also like to thank you. Also like to thank and welcome inbound CEO of the Clinton Foundation, Donna Shalala, for all your support. Thank you very much also for attending. This is your official first CGI event, so we're very pleased that you're with us today. And I'd also like to thank our key partners from this summer. Our accelerator program in Boston is run with the Boston community, first and foremost, supporting us. So I'd like to give a special thank you to EF, Education First, for helping us and hosting us over multiple occasions. Mintz Levin, who provided a significant amount of legal work for all of our startups, pro bono. Kristen Gerber's sitting there, has spent hundreds of hours with all of our startups, so thank you so much for that, Kristen and Mintz Levin. The Lego Foundation, Google, the Harvard Center on the Developing Child, Legal Seafood, Roger Berkowitz, the CEO and founder of Legals, hosts us every year and pays for a lot of our food during the summer. Mass Design Group, Bridge International, Microsoft, and many, many, many others. So again, a big round of applause for all of our content partners. And a big, big special thanks to my former professor of innovation who helped us at a very early stage at the Holt International Business School take the idea of the Holt Prize, run it through a very robust innovation curriculum, and on the output of that was an unbelievable program, which you guys are witnessing the continuation of over 6 years. Dr. Hitendra Patel is the managing director of the iExcel Center. He's also the professor of growth and innovation at the Holt International Business School, and he's the lead case author. So we're going to ask him now to just spend a few minutes going over with you guys what exactly the judges are going to be there backstage looking for in the winner. Following that, we're going to do a 35 to 40-minute intermission. You'll have an opportunity to share your ideas, your suggestions for a better world, how these startups can be really more disruptive. And I'd like to challenge all of you to think about ways that you can support all of the startups which you've heard present today. And then we'll reconvene and we'll do the announcement of the 2015 Holt Prize winner. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Hitendra Patel to the stage. Thank you.
So first of all, I would like to just congratulate the teams. I mean, what a bunch of fantastic presentations. Their passion and their commitment gives me optimism. I hope it gives you optimism that we have a new generation of game changers who are genuinely committed to making the world a better place. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much to the teams again one more time. And you'll have to agree with me that without a doubt, for me over the last 6 years, but for you also perhaps, that I've never seen a group of teams giving solutions which are better than we have seen in the past. The traction they have on each one of the solutions in terms of working with companies, working with partners, working with customers to get these ideas off to a successful start. And then the quality of the presentations, and then just the cohesiveness of the teams as I stood up here and presented to you. And that is all part of them working very hard, but also with the Hull Prize Accelerator working with them to really push them to make a big difference. So just want to make sure your school should be proud of you, your friends should be proud of you for sure, your family should be proud of you. We at the Hull Prize are certainly proud of what you guys have done. And with that, just one more time, thank you very much. Huh? Just a quick background or history on how we actually work with the challenges and how we identify them and how we actually get and push them for breakthrough solutions. Here's what we actually force them to do. We identify unmet needs out there, problems and solutions that are currently not being served. So about 3 years ago, we worked on solutions which were seeking around food security. And people are thinking of food security as people who are starving to death. But when we studied the slums, the inner cities, the peri-urban areas, we saw people were not starving, but they were actually missing a meal every other day, missing 2 or 3 meals over a week. And over a lifetime, what that actually does is starves the brain, and the brains don't get the same chance as what happens to your brain to compete. And that was the unmet need that you couldn't see, because when you went to the slums, you saw kids were playing soccer and they were smiling. But little did you know that they were actually hungry and they were actually starving. And that was the challenge where our team, Aspire, actually came up with a breakthrough idea on insects. Last year, we worked in healthcare. And here again, we think of healthcare issues, and immediately we think about Ebola, infectious diseases, where it becomes very loud and we need to try and solve those things. But there was an unmet need even in this case. In the slums, there are people who are between 40 and 60 and 70 years of age who don't know that they have got a chronic disease, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cancer, whether it's cardio. And it's a silent killer. And silent means it's not being met as a solution again. And so yet again, we did that last year to find a solution which was an unmet need. So this year, as we worked on education as the next big thing to solve, we seeked really hard. We worked very hard to find what was that unmet need again. And what we found was governments around the world were actually providing education for primary schools and for secondary schools. And for some reason, the same governments actually said, hey, we're going to leave parents alone because when that baby, that bundle of joy is born, you guys are well equipped to be able to prepare them for first grade. And when you think about it, and every one of you who's been a parent, as you walk out of the hospital with your child, you really look at each other, at your wife, and say, where's the owner's manual? Where is the way we're going to teach this kid to be actually successful in life? And for some reason, governments around the world have said, we aren't going to intervene. And therein began the next unmet need, the 0 to 5, where parents are not equally prepared to give their kids the same sort of education, the same sort of stimulation, the same sort of excitement that titillates their brain to begin to form in the right way. In parallel to this research, what we found was between 0 and 5, these kids' brains begin to grow. And by the time they're 5 years old, it's about 90% the size of an adult brain. And during that time, the stimulation they received, the conversations they had, the games they played, all those things begin to interact with each other and create connections in the brain called synapses. And those are the things which allows them to be successful in first grade. Now imagine a parent who's not able to do the same thing because they're working all day, because they don't have the money to be able to be available all the time to play those things. And what chance do they have with their kids in first grade compared to your child? And therefore, what we said was this was perhaps the unmet need of the century, the 0 to 5, where we trust parents to figure out how to raise children, but seriously, there is no owner's manual for most of us. We rely on what mom used to do. We learn from our mothers and parents, and we learn from our culture to deliver this particular solution. So with that, these teams worked on this particular solution and problem, and they are supposed to seek breakthrough solutions. So how do we actually drive them to get breakthrough solutions? And what we found was from President John F. Kennedy. In '62, he basically said, without necessarily knowing that you could do some of the things, he said the challenge, put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Now, John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, did not have necessarily the education, the science, the technology to know how to make that happen. But he set the challenge. By setting a challenge which is so big, so hard, with a finite deadline, it forced all the scientists, all the engineers of the United States to work in new and different ways. And this is what we did with our teams again. We gave them a challenge which perhaps is almost impossible to solve. How can you solve this thing to get 10 million people early childhood education in less than 3 to 5 years? But what it forces them to do in our design of our challenge is you can't use yesterday's solution to solve this thing. You can't use incremental solutions to create solutions around this particular problem. You have to really think outside the box. And so with that, they took the challenge, and they had to come up with solutions that we had not ever imagined. And we saw the results of that over the last 3 years, where Aspire comes up with a solution for food security, and who would have imagined that they would have said the solution is micro livestock, insects. And they came up with that, and they created a solution which completely changed the industry and perhaps created a new industry player. Similarly, last year, NanoHealth with Manish and his team, they came up with an idea saying, how do we get healthcare into every single person in a slum environment? And they came up with a backpack, which is supposed to be $99, which acts like a doctor. And that backpack is able to give you diagnostics whether you're healthy or sick. And then you give this backpack to an average person who doesn't have the certification of a doctor or a nurse, and they can start acting like that. They Uberified healthcare in the slum as a result of that, again, potentially changing the whole industry. So with that, what we have asked these teams to do over here is exactly the same thing. Come up with a solution which is going to be a breakthrough. It's going to be a game changer. But at the same time, make sure it's actionable. Make sure you can start Monday morning and make a difference. The judges in the back are going to think about that. Is this idea big? Can they start on Monday morning? Do they have the right partners to go really fast? Have they removed the risk as quickly as possible to make that happen? And the judges are going to discuss that in the back and try and figure it out. Now, one thing that we did in the accelerator with them was we continuously reminded them that, are you going to follow the rules? Or are you going to break the rules? Or are you going to make the rules? Now, clearly, if you follow the rules all the time, you're going to be one really boring person. Right? You aren't going to come up with anything new, and nobody really wants to hang out with you either. You're really, really dull. Right? And that's not what you want to teach your kids either. So, but that's what we do with our families and our kids. Follow the rules, follow the rules. And as a result, we create a culture of non-innovative people. Follow the rules is not always good. Similarly, I asked, okay, are you the guys who are going to break the rules? And yet again, you might ask, if you're a person who breaks the rules all the time, you're probably going to end up in jail sooner or later, right? So you don't want that either, right? So you don't want to break the rules all the time, but are you going to break the rules? And then the last one is, are you going to make the rules? Completely change the game and make the rules. And on making the rules, there's a risk, of course, that if you do that all the time, you might end up like some dictator and be disposed, and something worse can happen to you also. Not the best thing to do. The reality in this thing is, to come up with breakthrough solutions, you have to have judgment to be able to know when to follow the rules, when to break the rules, and when to make the rules. And that is the criteria ultimately for a breakthrough innovation. And with that, that's what the judges are going to be working on and trying to figure it out. We at Hult Prize, we have tried to be innovative also. We used kids as a panel to actually listen to the presentations, and you'll be surprised. Who would have trusted kids to give feedback to these teams to come up with new ideas? And that's called breaking the rules again. So what I want to leave with you guys on this particular part of the conversation is, as you think about your impact, working with the Health Prize, helping these teams, or perhaps with your own projects, are you following the rules? Are you breaking the rules? Or are you actually making the rules? Or are you using judgment to do all three? So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. Okay, last big thank you. None of this, of course, is not possible without my mom. Thank you, Mom. Love you, Dad, and my wonderful wife, Tanya. Really appreciate all you guys' support. With that, intermission time, while the judges have a very difficult task, and we appreciate you guys' patience. Feel free to exit the room. We're going to need at least 30 to 35 more minutes. Get to know one another, talk, and enjoy the wonderful slideshow of our teams in the field having impact. Thank you, guys.
tout le monde, allons aux discothèques. Voulez-vous en France, voulez-vous en Afrique? Voulez-vous me voir, voulez-vous que je m'explique? Allons tout le monde, allons aux discothèques. Voulez-vous en France, voulez-vous en Afrique? Voulez-vous me voir, voulez-vous que je m'explique? Allons.
Rewind and counter-attack. Indian, Japanese, white or black. Hold up, culture massive shock on the attack. All in the area, we up and come back. East back. Rewind and counter-attack. Indian, Japanese, white or black. Hold up, culture massive shock on the attack. All in the area, we up and come back.
magari vestiti nella fase marami ng page Minagiyas pille Pila ewa Ang kinapil like two Awan bok na mo jazz Nabuk payas Give a one
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will resume shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats. The program is just about to resume. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 42nd President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton.
I love this night every year. I want to thank all of the teams for their good ideas, their passionate work, the outstanding presentations. I want to thank the judges and the HULT executives, Philip Holt, Stephen Hodges, Atendra Patel, Ahmad Ashkar. I want to thank, again, well, you had some really good judges here. Julia Gillard, Mo Ibrahim, Charles Kane, Muhammad Yunus. This topic is very close to my family. When I was a young governor, Hillary brought a preschool program from Israel called Hippie to the United States. It was developed to deal with, you know, Hippie? It teaches parents to be their kids' first teachers. It was the first preschool program we'd ever had, 35 years ago. Our Too Small to Fail initiative has made a real effort to help Americans close the so-called 30 million word gap that will exist between my granddaughter, who turned 1 year old today, and kids from less fortunate backgrounds. This is a big deal. So for all of you who submitted proposals, and I read summaries of all of them and I was intrigued, I want to thank you very much. Every country, regardless of its challenges, has to deal with this first. We see now enormous progress as we come to the end of the Millennium Development Goals and start on these new Sustainable Development Goals. Enormous progress in moving people into primary education, moving people into secondary education, reducing the difference between the percentage of boys and girls who go to school. But a lot of those embedded differences have not been overcome in no small measure because of the disadvantages people bring to their school years from the absence of early childhood education, which in much of the world has to begin with the parents and in the home. So, thank you for all participating. I am preaching to the saved, and I have said enough. Let's get on to the winners. I would like the judges to come back to the stage, and while they're coming up, let me just say one other thing. I've been through a lot of these, and I love them. Only one team's going to get this prize tonight. But in my opinion, every one of these proposals has tremendous potential to improve the lives of children around the world. So I urge all of you who got here to try to find other ways to implement your proposals. And I encourage everyone in the room to support those students and to help them turn their ideas into reality. Let's give the judges a big hand. The winner is the winner of the online competition from National Chengxi University Impact. Juan Diego Prudhoe, Taylor Scobie, Andres Escobar, An Nung Chen. Please come up. Come up here. Come on up.
We're far from
Okay.
home. It's for the better.
Julia, let me just say a brief word and you will understand why they are celebrating with such a joyful lack of restraint, which I love. Here's what they proposed. The problem is that millions of young children in urban slums in the developing world face unsafe and entirely informal childcare options. Yet, in spite of the fact that they're informal, unsafe, without standards, parents pay almost 20% of their income for this kind of daycare, which has no educational component and a lot of other challenges. Their concept is that Impact will scale up the quality and capacity of informal daycare centers and enable more parents to work while their children receive actual quality education in a safe, secure, healthy environment. Impact builds, runs, and co-owns play cares that are community operated but globally owned through a micro-equity platform that enables anybody, anywhere, to make direct impact investments in the sustainable education business of talented local, they call edupreneurs. People building the play care centers. They turn that capital into quality early childhood education schools with unique, context-appropriate building, curricula, and training solutions. Investors can serve as powerful new stakeholders in urban slum education. Look, if you look at the success of groups like Kiva.org, one of the things that I have frankly been surprised about is that we have not seen the idea of micro-giving expanded to more bigger and different social problems. So this is going to be exciting to watch this unfold. They earned it, and let's give them a big hand.
We're far from home, it's for the better. What we dream, it's all that matters. We're on our way, united. Turn the crowd up now, we'll never back down. Shoot down the skyline, watch it on prime time. Turn up the love now, listen up now. Turn up the love. Who's gonna save the world tonight? Who's gonna bring it back to life?